In a significant escalation, Israel has launched extensive airstrikes across the Gaza Strip, shattering the fragile ceasefire. Over 400 Palestinians have been killed, and the situation on the ground remains tense as international condemnation grows. Israeli airstrikes have pummeled Gaza, targeting what the Israeli Defense Forces describe as Hamas infrastructure and leadership positions. The strikes come after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu instructed the IDF to continue its operations, vowing the offensive would last as long as necessary, stating his annoyance over Hamas not following the ceasefire terms. This follows Hamas's repeated refusal to release our hostages, as well as its rejection of all of the proposals it has received from US presidential envoy Steve Witkoff and from the mediators.
بنجهز حالنا للسحور بدنا نقوم ما شفنا هالصواريخ من وين مش عارفين من وين بيجينا مش عارفين وين الأمان فيش أمان وين بدنا نروح إحنا خلص يرموا علينا نوى ونتريح والله تعبنا إحنا من الحياة هذه كلها.
On the other hand, Palestinian PM urges international action to compel Israel to end Gaza aggression, and Hamas said it blamed the US administration's unlimited political and military support for Israel for a deadly wave of airstrikes in Gaza, while also accusing Israel of deliberately overturning the ceasefire agreement, calling the strikes a direct violation. The militant group claims the attacks are intended to pressure Hamas into releasing Israeli hostages, which Israel says Hamas has repeatedly refused to do. According to Gaza officials, at least 404 Palestinians have been killed in the bombardment, including many women and children. Hospitals are overwhelmed, and the death toll is expected to rise as rescue operations continue amid the rubble. Israeli officials said that the strikes are crucial to dismantling Hamas's military capabilities. Israel's UN ambassador stated that the offensive would continue as long as necessary to ensure the security of Israeli citizens and secure the release of hostages. International reactions are pouring in, with China and Iran condemning the attack and calling for restraint, while Jordan condemned an Israeli wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, the deadliest since a truce in the Israel-Hamas war took effect.
中方高度关注当前的巴以局势，希望各方能够切实推动停火协议连续有效执行，避免采取任何可能导致局势升级的举动，防止造成更大规模的人道主义灾难。
The United Nations and human rights organizations have expressed grave concern over the humanitarian impact of the strikes, urging both sides to de-escalate immediately. Calls for a renewed ceasefire continue, but hopes for diplomacy remain bleak as violence escalates.
Secretary General is shocked by the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, in which a meaningful number of civilians have been killed. He strongly appeals for the ceasefire to be respected, for unimpeded humanitarian assistance to be reestablished, and for the remaining hostages to be released unconditionally.
As the conflict deepens, Gaza is left grappling with immense human loss, and the international community is watching closely, urging restraint and a return to negotiations. The path to peace appears increasingly uncertain. Bureau Report, NewsX World.